Hi, everybody. I believe everybody's now in the room. So, welcome to the CIHT webinar for Myth Busting is CIHT for me. Just to set up the introduction on this, if we could move to the next slide, we'll just do some quick introductions. So, just from my point of view, I'm Stephen Carmody, Managing Director of SCP Infrastructure. I'm your chair for today. My role around this, I've been in the industry for 28 years, and I've been involved with the CIHT for about 20 years. I'm currently a managing director of a transport planning and infrastructure business, part of the RSK group, and we provide pre and post planning services. My additional roles within CIHT, I've been involved significantly for the last 10 years with a regional chair of the Yorkshire and Humber, and spent the last 10 years working with Britannia Walk on national strategic challenges for the transport and highways sector. Within this, I've sat on the CPD panel audit committee, and I'm also now the chair of MMSSB, as well as on the board of trustees for CIHT. And finally, my other roles outside of this and the importance of bringing people together is as a chairman of the board and governors of Leeds College of Building. So I'll just pass you over to Ed, who will do his quick introduction before he comes on to his speech later.
Thank you, Steve. Hi, everybody. So my name is Ed Downer. I'm a Transport Mobility Associate for an engineering firm called Bureau Happold. My focus is on transport planning, strategic transport planning, even though way back when I started out my life as a transport modeler. You'll hear about my sort of CIHT pathway a little bit later on, but I've been a member since I started, really, since a graduate. And I'm now following in Steve's footsteps in some ways. I'm now the chair of the Yorkshire and the Humber region, so I'll be talking you through what CIHT has helped me out with over the course of my career. Over to you, Grace.
Thanks, Ed. Hi, everyone. My name is Grace Smith, and I'm Associate Director at WSP. I also lead the Newcastle office livable places team, and my role in the CIHT is I'm chair of the CIHT Northeast and Cumbria region. My background is civil engineering, but I have been working in the transportation and highway sector for over 25 years now. So in my talk, I'll be talking a little bit about my journey. I joined CIHT as a student like Ed, a little earlier than Ed. And then also I'll be talking about what I've gained from CIHT throughout my professional journey within CIHT and outside CIHT. Over to you, Steve.
Thank you both. That's really interesting. I think hopefully you'll all be excited today to go through some of the mythbusters. So if we can go to the next slide, please. So the first key message across this presentation about CIHT, about that it isn't just a professional body, it's a community, and it's interesting from an institution point of view. Obviously, all three of us that are presenting today have all been involved significantly, but we've all got engagement, personal engagement, and benefit out of the institution and the efforts we've put in and the returns we've had from the people we've actually been involved with. So hopefully you can all find the same sort of kinship around this, and we can actually sort of hopefully encourage you all to become part of the same group and learn and develop through your own careers. Can we move to the next stage? So we go through initially the initial sort of myth busting. The strategy that's come out through the institution is acknowledgement that sometimes the institution doesn't reach as far as it should do, and doesn't make people aware fully of the sort of the openness and the ability to engage with the institution, to bring people in from different backgrounds. So going through myth by myth, we'll go through each item and we'll explain simply the actual facts against the myth. So CIHT is only for engineers. Yes, I am an engineer, but actually as a managing director and the other members on the sort of presentation, the institution and highways and transport as an industry doesn't just operate with regard to just engineers. It's actually a broad range, and that includes landscape, ecologist, environmental, people working on EIAs. We're looking for people from many different backgrounds, including geography, mathematics, technology, and other ways. We need to break down these barriers and make sure we bring people in to make sure people are valued, because the broad range of discussion and experience is key to us making a stronger institution and a stronger industry. We move to the next stage. Next slide. So the second one, membership is too expensive. There's two elements to this. There's parties that employers, some employers will pay for membership, but personal investment in your own career and yourself is really critical around this. CIHT has a platform called CIHT Learn, which I would consider personally the best platform for learning across institutions in our sector. And as part of your membership, your lifetime learning and opportunity to grow, and especially if you don't come from a background that is an engineering background, actually the training that is provided is really key. And along with that, CIHT can offer affordable options to different careers. Move to the next slide, please. So this is also an important one. That institutions, and I think a lot of people believe that having a degree is the only route into an institution. To be a member of the Chartered Institute of Highways and Transport, you don't need a degree. It's about capability and skills, working in the sector or a related field. That's what we're looking for, and from that, learning and development of your own personal career can be the gateway into the institution and for the future of you. And we want to be able to encourage and include all parties into the discussions. So some of the other myths. So membership is about looking good on your CV. It can be, but it's not the main part. Membership is about learning, development, growth, and adding back to the industry. We have a lot around the industry, bringing people forward, bringing new members forward. We have a shortage of skills. We want more members coming through and encouraging more people into a sector that really is very rewarding. Second one, membership makes you chartered automatically. Well, chartership and membership are not sort of connected. They're two separate areas. You can actually become a member without becoming chartered, but you can become a member, and then the institution will support you to become incorporated, EngTech or chartered through the processes of where you may be able to find your accreditation if you were looking for something. Next one, membership of another professional body excludes you. Well, that's not true. I'm a member of multiple bodies, and that's because I have a broad range, and I want to be a member to learn experiences and grow my knowledge. I think one of the best things I've learned across my career is making sure that I actually do learn and continue to grow. And the development of the environmental and sustainability agenda over recent years has shown that. And I think the Chartered Institution of Highways and Transport has really engaged with that, and across other institutions, to really improve the sector. And the last one, you need extensive experience to join. Actually, that is incorrect. As soon as you join into the industry, if you're looking for some guidance of how to develop yourself personally and your career, you can join very early on, and the institution will help you actually deliver and improve. We move to the next slide, please. So, membership journey. This one's just shows you the grades that are currently available. We have the growth of the apprenticeship market and the sector around that. A lot of areas, including colleges and universities, providing apprenticeship routes in through their businesses, and a lot of the employers and local authorities also doing the same. So you kind of get engaged very early on through an apprenticeship as soon as you actually join a business in the connected sector. Apologies, just wait a second. Oh, sorry. Somebody just turned a Hoover on next to me. So apologies for that. Not very helpful. So next one, the student, which is more the traditional enrolment through a graduate route into the sector. Students can actually get engaged as soon as they're onto their courses and engage with the institution. Graduates, as soon as you progress through those stages into a professional qualification or educational qualification, you become a graduate with. You can see above graduate CIHT, and then you come in through some of the other areas that will develop your career. So associates, you don't have to have a degree, which, as we said before, that's quite important, but you have 3 years experience in the industry or sector. This is a connected grade of people that maybe not coming through the traditional routes. And then the next one is membership. You will have a minimum of 3 years of professional experience in the connected agreement. And then finally, people like myself who have had senior engagement for many, many years have become fellows. And we would like to encourage more people through all of this journey to come along with us. And if you can imagine, I started as a student, graduate, associate member and fellow. So apprentices weren't around when I was younger, but all the others I've been through and achieved. Thank you. If you move to the next slide. So we'll hand over now to Ed Downer, who's going to give you some of his wonderful presentation about his own parallel career.
Thank you, Steve. Nice to see so many people on this call. So I'm going to talk you through what I like to call my parallel career. You can see from the two sides of the slide that I've had a corporate career lasting just over 18 years now. I started out life in the professional sector as a geography Bachelor of Arts graduate, so not a typical background maybe for someone coming into the sector, especially at that time. And you can see I've moved around different organisations. I started at Jacobs, I moved to Mott MacDonald, and now I'm at Bureau Happold. And I've also moved locations. I started out my career in Newcastle, moved to Manchester, and now I'm settled here in Leeds. You can also see that I used to have a lot more hair, but I think the point of this is just to illustrate that I did start out in CIHT as that fresh-faced graduate as an associate member back when I was 21, 22 years old, and I think the main kind of motivations for doing it were that the office I was in at the time was a very engaged office in terms of CIHT. I was starting out a new career in a new town, and I kind of needed that kind of sort of safety net around me, I suppose, of more people to talk to, more people to network with, and more people to kind of share experiences with. Especially as you're a young graduate coming into a new role. And as you can see, over the course of the sort of next few years, I've been lucky enough to take on a few roles with CIHT. And I suppose just to reflect on what Steve was saying earlier, you're never really too young to kind of seize upon some of the opportunities that CIHT has to offer. My first kind of formal role within the organisation was to be the regional comms officer, which basically meant putting together a newsletter, sending out things on social media. And obviously, as a relatively young person on the committee, I was entrusted with that because I sort of knew how to operate the social media tools, etc. The early part of my career, I really kind of focused in on trying to champion the voices of young professionals or emerging career professionals. I'll talk about that a little bit more later on, but that really helped to kind of consolidate a bit of a platform at a national level. And get involved in all kinds of stuff at a national level with CIHT, which, again, as someone under the age of 30 at the time, I really don't think I would have gotten that exposure in any other way. More latterly, I've sort of consolidated my role within the regions. So I've been involved at a committee level, at a regional level in the Northeast, the Northwest, and in Yorkshire. And as I said in my introduction, I now chair the regional committee for CIHT Yorkshire and the Humber. So it's a bit of a potted history there. Through the CIHT, I've also managed to get chartered. And I have to say, when you do your chartership interview and the question comes up, what have you given back to the industry? What have you contributed to CIHT and other organisations? Being able to smash that question out of the park through your involvement in CIHT is a great feeling in what is obviously a very tense, high stress situation. So if you could go to the next slide, please. So here I'm just kind of giving you a bit of a potted history of kind of what my thoughts were about CIHT as I kind of moved through the organisation. And the reason there's some interesting quotes in there is that I believe the organisation has changed quite a bit since I joined. I remember the first CPD event I went to. My main reflection was that I was definitely the youngest person there. I was definitely lacking a lot of white hair, and I definitely lacked an interest in golf. But I think, when I kind of fed that back to folks I knew within CIHT, the message back was, well, what can we do to change that? And I think the institution's come a long way from a bunch of old white men talking about golf. I think we're a lot more inclusive and diverse, and all the better for it. Couple of other quotes in there, let's mess things up. I think that was my kind of mantra when I started getting into young professionals networks, and kind of saying, well, we can drive diversity in the organization through younger people, and we can try and sort of introduce new thinking, introduce new ways of doing things, and really kind of change the way the organization works. That kind of moved into another slogan, engage, enable, empower, which is again all about giving younger professionals a voice in the industry. And the final one there is just my chairperson's theme for the year in Yorkshire and the Humber. And I suppose that's just an illustration of where I'm at now in terms of being able to kind of set the agenda, specify what we kind of discuss at a regional level, and collaborating with the wider CIHT team. So if we go to the next slide, just a quick summary on here then, just about some of the benefits that I think I've experienced personally through that journey. This is all about building networks. As I say, I've moved around a bit, both corporately and in terms of where I've been based. But CIHT is a network that kind of stays with you forever, really. And it's good to have that stability and consistency. You can move about the regions, you can move about your jobs, but the same support team are there with CIHT throughout, and the same people that you connect with at events are there with you throughout. So it's good for that kind of thing. It takes away barriers. You're in the room with a wide range of people, a wide range of positions, and just being able to recognize a familiar face who may just happen to be the chairperson or the chief executive of another organization. It just removes that barrier you might build in your head of, I can't approach this person. It's more of a case of, that's Steve, or that's Martin, or whoever. That's someone I can actually talk to. The other points, I won't go through every single one of these, but just being able to meet other people outside of your organization and share challenges and opportunities. I've called it group therapy there, but it is really helpful just to meet other people and just kind of feel that you are going through the same stuff together at whatever stage of your career you're at, which I think is really sort of important. I suppose the final point I'll focus in on this point on this slide is just about broadening your CV. So in your day job, especially if you're a graduate, you'll be doing supporting tasks and things like that, but you may not necessarily be stepping into leadership roles straight away, which that's a standard way of operating. But with CIHT, starting at a young level, you can get involved in organizing events, you can get involved in sort of program managing or finance managing events and miniature projects, and it just gives you that extra edge and that extra ability to experience these things perhaps ahead of when you would experience them in your corporate career. So is CIHT for me, if you just go to the final slide for me, as I say, I came in as a geography graduate. I didn't really have an institutional home, so to speak, at the time. I was surrounded by engineers who all had their sort of roots into different organisations that way. I could have joined the Royal Geographical Society, but there wasn't necessarily a career pathway I could follow with that. So CIHT really did feel like the right sort of home for me, particularly when they did introduce a chartership progression route for transport planners. Someone once advised me at the start of my career, try and get as many letters after your name as possible. I mean, CIHT does give you that, and especially once you get chartered, that's a few more letters after your name, and it just has that weight, impact, and just sort of really helps kind of consolidate your own sort of status in the sector. So it is good for that. It does feel progressive and inclusive. You know, like Steve, I am a member of lots of other institutions, and I'd say out of them all, CIHT does feel to be the most progressive out of them all, and it's also one of the more active institutions in terms of the CPD that it offers, as well as the platforms that are coming out, such as CIHT Learn. So there's lots of opportunities to participate locally and nationally. So not only do you tick the boxes in terms of fulfilling your CPD, but yeah, I think you also kind of grow and develop as a person, and that parallel career can have some wide-ranging benefits that impact you in your day-to-day career as well. So I think that's it from me. I'll hand over to Grace to kind of talk through her own story. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. So my story is probably a little bit more traditional. So my background is, as I said earlier in my introduction, is a civil engineer. Then I moved to Newcastle to do a master in transport engineering and operations. And that's when I was introduced to CIHT, to be honest, when I was a student in Newcastle. And it was a little bit an accident. We wanted to go to the CIHT dinner, and the only way to get into to get access to cheaper tickets, discounted tickets, is by joining the CIHT as student member. But in my 25 years in working as a transport and highways professionals, I've been the CIHT is really, and that introduction to the CIHT does help a lot with my career. So I started, when I graduated from university, I started as a transport planner. And after that, I changed my mind. And then I wanted to develop more engineering design skill. So I then moved different company and then work more as a highway engineer. And then I did that for about 8 years, and I changed again. I wanted to develop my personal professional development skills, different skills. So I moved to different company, developing development planning skills and infrastructure design, and then later on developing more municipal kind of engineer skills. And now I'm my role is really the kind of projects I'm doing at the moment is to do with designing sustainable transport infrastructure, active travel infrastructure, and generally a transport-led multidisciplinary projects that might include that some including regeneration schemes as well, working on several energy projects, and also but I'm not completely just doing engineering stuff, but I also provided some transport input for environmental impact assessments for various different schemes. So that knowledge, then experience, and in contribute in that sort of like allows me to diverse my portfolios, allows me to work on different projects, much more interesting variety of projects that keep every day my projects is my work more interesting. So yeah, when somebody asks me about what exactly how you define yourself, Grace, are you a transport engineer? Are you a highway engineer, or are you a transport planner, or are you a traffic engineer? So it's very difficult, especially after you sort of 25 years doing variety of projects, to actually say to people what exactly I'm doing. So I just call myself as a designer because I've done a lot of things, and a lot of the kind of projects that we're doing is also interfaces with various things. You know, you need to have that kind of experience. You need to have that kind of awareness and knowledge about spatial planning about transport planning, about engineering, about project management. It's all tie-ins together. And so I'll just call myself as being a designer, you know. So next slide, please. Deborah. Next one. So in terms of my CIST, as I said, I joined as a student. And then after I graduated, I actually stayed in Newcastle. While everybody else, a lot of my friends and so on moved away from Newcastle, I stayed in Newcastle. So I sort of like needed a home, you know, suddenly my network disappeared. And so I got the CIHT, obviously, from that connection from this university. So I started going to the CIHT events and then starting meeting people, gradually, you know, building my own network then locally in Newcastle, and it gets bigger, and then and starting to meet some other colleagues, peer, talking about, you know, their experience, getting some informal mentoring sometimes, tips about projects, and then also generally, and then obviously gotten access to the wealth of library, knowledge library, publications, CIST publications. That's all very relevant to the day-to-day work that I'm doing. And so I joined that continuous kind of involvement, that kind of build from gradually growing from building a small network. Then I decided to join the CIHT Northeast and Cumbria Committee about 6 years ago. So I started as just a brand committee member. And then later on, I decided to put my hands up to become the honorary secretary. And then after that, you know, get promoted almost to become junior vice chair, and then become vice chair, and now I'm chair of the Northeast and Cumbria branch. And what it gave me really, the insight of the CIHT, in how the CIHT operates, you know, a lot more awareness about CIHT initiatives, CIHT events, and also expanding my network rather than just a network regionally within Newcastle. Then I'm starting to, you know, expand my network to other regions, get to see people from Britannia Walk, and then so it's just opening up that networking opportunity outside the region. And the other things that I found really quite useful. Next slide, next one, please. So yes, obviously from the CIHT, joining CIHT is really, as I said, continuous professional development. And I think it's quite, having this webinar, obviously providing even more greater opportunities to join even more seminars that's not available locally. So yes, and it's particularly quite useful during the COVID. Not only I was able to maintain that connection, professional connections outside the organizations throughout the lockdowns, you know, but it's also able to kind of maintain professional development as well by accessing some of the available resources available from the CIHT website. By joining CIHT, also I was able to participate in some of the CIHT initiatives, for example, the CIHT climates. And interestingly, by joining some of the things, and you know, and I get to people starting to ask me about, can I mentor them? you know. So that's quite, which is quite nice to be asked. So I've been a mentor for apprentices, and I've been a mentor to some of the experienced colleagues as well, although they're, whether it's formally or non-formally, as their mentors. And it gives me also an opportunity to develop myself. For example, doing this kind of talk, webinar talks, and challenging myself outside the comfort zone, and also challenging myself about, what exactly I know, you know, about my knowledge about the industries, about my technical knowledge, and just continue providing that continuous opportunity to learn about myself, as well as learning about the technical aspects of that is required to do for myself professionally. So I think that's essentially me in a night in summary, really. So now it's back to you again, Steve, is it?
Yep. Thank you very much. I think hopefully you've just appreciated two very good presentations there about different backgrounds and experiences. I think before we move directly onto the questions and answers, which we'll run through, I've seen some of the themes on the chat. So just some of the areas that I can sort of pick up on at the moment. So there's local authority, there's a number of members from local authorities. We appreciate the challenges that you may be faced around this. We are keen to engage, and at the end of this presentation, there's an email address to contact us. But we do believe very strongly that supporting people within the local authority sector or the public sector in general, and the CIHT Learn is a really important one to make sure you're getting your continued professional development. But if you're working in the industry, not a general, quite specific, and being on top of the current innovations and technologies and the things that are happening. So it's really important if you can engage, and we'd like you to consider joining to be able to get some of that. The second area I've seen on the chat is around international. There's a number of international people. We do have our international groups, and again, we'd encourage you to actually engage with those, and again, pick up some of those opportunities. Again, the CIHT Learn platform is available around some of those, so we can actually make sure that people are getting the engagement and the opportunity from that as well. I noted a landscape architect, which is great to see. I think people with that difference of background, and not just it's building roads and footpaths and railway lines and cycle routes. Actually, transport and highways is integral in all ways. So we want people to bring those public realm areas and those collaborations, and not big swathes of tarmac everywhere. We want to bring those opportunities and get people involved around those kind of areas. So please believe that the group that we have and the inputs that we want off everybody on this call, you all have an interesting part to play to the future of the industry, and the institution actually gives you that opportunity to do that. So if you want to learn more and you want to meet with people and talk to people to develop your opportunities in your career, CIHT, I would say, is for you. So if there is any specific questions we want to go on to Deborah, then please feel free to pull those up. Is there anything in the Q&A section? There's one question I think in the Q&A I saw for senior transport planner from a social science background, a member of TPS. Will a membership in CIHT be redundant?
Can I answer that one as a transport
Yes.
planner?
Yes, you can. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm a member of TPS as well, and I obviously came at it from a BA background. So is CIHT membership redundant? I mean, it depends a lot on what TPS offer in your local area. Obviously, CIHT has a range of other services that it can offer. So we've talked a lot about CIHT Learn, which is this big sort of online CPD learning platform. And yeah, I mean, that's a great sort of source of added sort of value, I suppose, from CIHT membership. It also gives you another route towards chartership. So you can get CTPP through TPS, but CIHT also offers a route. Yeah, there's an alternative there. And I just think in terms of scale, CIHT is a broad church. So, Transport Planning Society, it's great because you do just collaborate with other transport planners, but with CIHT you do get to meet people in the wider industry, so people that work in contracting, people that work in design. You kind of get to form those broader networks outside of transport planning, which can be really helpful in terms of sort of understanding and learning and realizing what happens once you've completed your plan, your strategy, whatever that might be. So as I say, I'm a member of both. I don't consider either to make the other redundant. They both offer great routes to progression. But I've clearly obviously benefited a lot from CIHT membership.
Thank you very much, Ed. Hopefully that answered the first question. The second one says, Steve talked about having a degree. Is this engineering specific for a range of disciplines or any degree subject? Well, two sides to that discussion. If it's about me, then yes, I have a degree, and I have a degree in civil engineering and commercial management. But if it's from the institution point of view, what we're saying, you don't have to have a degree to be a member. That's the entire point. You don't have to have a degree to be a member of the institution, to be engaged and get the benefits and be part of the group. Is that because of the differences of backgrounds? One of the things that always brings to my mind, we're working with some people from the police that are involved in the safety through Saucer and others. We have very many different backgrounds with people with different opinions, and it's great to have those views around the table. So don't think because your degree isn't an engineering degree or a transport planning degree, there isn't a place. I think people come from different backgrounds and opportunities. I have multiple people working in our business come from maths qualifications or geography or others. So, and the last one it says, what does it mean to be a fellow or associate? I understand the requirements, but what comes with it? I think if the members from the institution, somebody wants to answer that one.
What comes with it? So, hi, I'm Beth in France. I'm head of membership and member services at CIHT. So, inevitably, you'll get access to all of the tangible professional benefits that you get through your CIHT membership, and there are varying degrees and things available to you dependent on your membership grade. So, what we're hoping is that people will join us through either the graduate or associate as sort of their incoming, ideally as a student, as Grace did. And she's been with us now, and then move up eventually to become a fellow. Fellow is obviously our top grade of membership, and we have a range of fellows. There is no age limit to you becoming a fellow. It's very much based on your experience. The post nominal that you get with that is obviously FCIHT, which has a little bit more sort of kudos, I suppose. We have our biggest group of members are in MCIHT. There are lots of members who don't particularly want to become fellows of CIHT, but there are those that absolutely do. Steve himself is a fellow of CIHT, and it gives you that extra little something, particularly if you're applying for new jobs. But you get post nominals whichever grade you're in, apart from apprentice or student. And we know from our membership surveys that the post nominals and that recognition that you get just by looking at the post nominals, that you're a member of your professional body, has real resonance amongst the sector.
Thank you very much for that, Beth. I think there's a few other questions that have come through on the chat. Can I transfer my registration to CIHT? Yes, you can. So if you're chartered with an institution, it transfers. It's the Engineering Council that give the chartership accreditation. The institutions are then approved by the Engineering Council, so you can have it across multiple areas, and something that I have covered in different ways as well. Then there's a couple of other areas about membership and making sure how do you get involved. Well, after this call, I think if you're looking for contact, and with the numbers on today, it sounds like there's a lot of interest of finding out more. So people at the institution will be in contact if you want them to be in contact with you to try and assist and help how you can make the most of your membership and also your personal and professional development. There's a query about becoming chartered within a local authority. I know a number of people within local authorities that are professionally qualified. We do have a mentoring system. We do have support systems, and by becoming members, we can help through those professional qualifications if the structures of your employment don't always allow that support. So whether you be an SME or whether in the local authority there isn't as much support, please feel free to reach out, and the members that are already available will try and support you through that process. I think I personally have probably put about 25 people through ING over recent years, and I've got probably 10 apprentices at the moment that will be going through that in the next 4 or 5 years. And if you want to achieve that level, I think it's really important that we offer those professional qualifications and the support and professional. Again, coming back to CIHT Learn, it's linked to your IPD, it's linked to your professional qualifications, and it actually gives you significant uplift in the ability to be able to sort of sign off some of those objectives that you have, and to really broaden your learning. And I think the broadening of the learning of an institution is one of the key things, is that we work in sectors, but actually in reality we need to understand what our neighbours do, how that all fits together and how we work together collaboratively, because the things we deliver in highways and transport nationally and internationally don't stand alone. We have a really important role in what we do. And I think people appreciate the ability. Everybody uses highways and transport every single day. It doesn't matter who you are, what background you're from, and the importance of it. So making the institution a great place to be is critical for all of us to do that, and bring in more people from different backgrounds to support the hard work that's going on. I may not have picked up all questions there. If there's anything I've missed, if anybody wants to step in and raise anything. I mean, we've got 3 minutes left before the end of the presentation.
Can I just jump in? Yes, recording of the session will be made available. We'll send that out to you afterwards. You can join now for 33% of the price of the full year. So you can give us a sort of trial, if you like, get access to Transportation Professional, get access to CIHT Learn, and have a look at over the 100 courses that are available to you as a member. And we've got new courses coming all of the time. If you are interested in joining, please scan the QR code that's on the screen. If you have any questions that we haven't been able to get to, or you have very specific questions, please do email us at membership@ciht.org.uk and we will follow those up. I'm doing my best to answer any questions in the chat. If you are interested in doing your professional registration with CIHT, the first thing that we recommend everybody does is an initial assessment with us, and that's free of charge. I'll put the links in shortly in a second. So initial assessment will allow us to determine which is the best route for you for your professional registration. We offer a number of routes to professional registration through CIHT, and that, as I say, it's free of charge. You just have to fill in a little bit about yourself and your academic background, and then we'll get a response to you within 5 days. We as an institution really have a huge variety of materials available to you to support you on your journey to professional registration. CIHT Learn modules have all been mapped to UK spec on the engineering side. We have a professional development framework which is available to your employer to support both the engineering qualifications and, as Ed alluded to, the Chartered Transport Planning professional qualifications. So there's a huge amount of support. The advantage of doing it through CIHT is we know your sector, we know your business, and one of your reviewers will work within your specific area, and they will both of them will work within transport and highways. So there's a real sort of benefit to doing your professional registration with us. there is a just last myth to bust is there is a preconception that chartered engineer is different with CIHT than it might be with another professional body. It isn't. Everything's set by the Engineering Council, so chartered engineer with CIHT is as valid as chartered engineer with another professional body. So let me just put those things in the chat if you are interested. And also, if you are interested in transferring your registration with us, you can do that as well. And I've put the link in the chat.
Thank you very much, Beth. Well, I would like to say thank you very much for all joining us. I think it's been really useful for us, and we would really like to see more engagement from you all. And hopefully we will see more of your names being engaged in some of the regional areas and some of the national, and we can support you to become the great members of the Institution of Highways and Transport. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.